I always remember looking forward to a certain Friday in the fall. Friday night, for whatever reason, they would always show on TV The Wizard of Oz. And I was like terrified by that movie, but I also loved it for whatever reason. I'd also have to go to bed like halfway through. But I remember the one scene I always loved, which was when poor Toto goes behind the curtain. Remember, they're always afraid of the wizard. You know, the fire is blowing, the smoke is blowing up, the angry voice of the Wizard of Oz. Everyone was terrified of him, and then poor Toto goes running behind the curtain and reveals behind the curtain is that short professor who was really the Wizard of Oz, who no one had to fear. And then he comes out bumbling and starts giving everyone an award. You know, he was completely different than the guy who was blowing the smoke and everything like that. Completely different. Brothers and sisters, for whatever reason, that image always comes to my mind when I think about the transition from the Old Testament to the New Testament. It's not the same. It's not an analogous reference. But in the Old Testament, we think of a God who is kind of, some people say vindictive or angry, certainly merciful in many ways. But all of a sudden then, when Jesus appears, we have a different image of God. And if we have an image of God that is completely Old Testament related, it's not wrong, but it's not the fullness of who God is. Jesus Christ, as we heard in the first reading, is the image of the invisible God. Jesus is. The image of God that we get from the Old Testament, while not wrong, is not the fullness of who God is. You see, when Jesus is born and Jesus suffers and dies for us, he shows us who truly the fullness of who God is. This is a merciful God. This is a loving God. Is he a kind God? Yes. Is he always nice? No. But he's just and he's fair. But he is also merciful and loving. And if our image of God is one who is just vindictive, why would we ever go to confess our sins to him? What would he do? But because we know our God is loving and merciful and just, why would we not go and confess our sins to him? He can save us from them. The other image, well, might be incorrect, keeps us away from coming to our God. But the fullness of who God is, as we heard from the first reading, Jesus Christ, the image of the invisible God, that's the one I go running to. This is the image that I go leaping into his arms because he is mercy. He is just. He is loving. Brothers and sisters, we are lucky enough to live in a time where we have the fullness of the image of God. We live in a time where we know who God is. If we avoid him, that's our fault. But we know who he is, so let us go run to him, ask him for forgiveness, and he will give us, because he is loving and just, everything he has. That is the God we have. Praise be Jesus Christ, now and forever.